So I kind of want to talk about porn in general because we have a lot of listeners that we've had this opinion before that if their boyfriend watches porn, that it's considered cheating. And I want to hear your take on that. And I feel like I know your answer, but I kind of want to talk about the porn industry in general and like the negatives, the positives, and all that. So do you think watching porn in a relationship is cheating?
No, I do not. And I'm sure that's not surprising. And people be like, of course, that's how she makes her money. But like, so I would challenge anyone that has like a really strong opinion about this to get the book A Billion Wicked Thoughts. It's a pretty big book, but it's a very easy read. It's written by, I think one of the guys is a neuroscientist. The other one's an engineer and they can, like a statistician, and they can look at all of the data across all these tube sites. And it's kind of like one of the largest sex studies that has ever been conducted in breaking down behavior as to like why men watch porn, why do they watch the types of porn, why do they like the types of women that they do, how women view porn. So it gets into a lot of these stereotypes that we have, which is it's degrading to women, which it's not, because if you watch gay porn, so like guy on guy, it is shot exactly how man on woman is shot, right? It's like it's made for the male gaze. So there's just like certain things that turn them on, and we're not wired the same, and that's okay. I think as women, we want our men to have the exact same sexual interests as we do, but that doesn't make any sense. And maybe you should be with a woman because our sexual needs are different. What the book ends up doing is it breaks down like women also they watch porn / erotica, but their choice is usually through novels. So through like those sexy books or through movies or romance novels. And they also idealize like that perfect man, whether he's a knight, a vampire, a sailor, right? Like a first responder, whatever it is. Billionaire is one of the biggest categories. So if you're getting mad at your man for watching porn, like you can't watch your romance movies. You can't watch or like read your erotica because it's the same thing. And when you come to him and you're like, well, why aren't you slaying a dragon, bringing home $1 billion, giving me a Lamborghini, all of these things, it's the same thing as you're like, well, why, when he's like, well, why won't you try this position in bed? Right? You're both trying to compare each other.
Sorry to interrupt, but not even that. I remember even being single watching a really good romantic movie and like feeling so bad for myself and like, oh, wishing I wasn't single. Or even when you're in a relationship and watching a really good, like realistic romance movie. And you're like, why doesn't my boyfriend do that? Why doesn't he pick me up and open my car door and do things like that? And you're having all these standards and you like literally get mad at your partner because they're not doing the things that they're doing on the screen. So yeah.
That's a good point.
Why aren't you more like Ryan Gosling and picking me up in the rain? Yeah. It's the same thing. So it's not fair either way.
I used to think it was definitely cheating, but this was like high school. Like I didn't know
that in the intro. She was like, I did when I was younger.
When I was younger, I haven't thought that in many years, but you know what I mean? Like when you're younger and I definitely was more insecure. I was in the era of like, you can't do this and you can't do that. And part of it also was that I was in a relationship when I was younger that like, I literally couldn't wear yoga pants, like, because that was like something that was frowned upon. So I feel like I was like told not to be sexualized whatsoever. And so that's kind of why I think I thought so many things about sexuality were bad. And like, you can't, explore your body. It's so bad. I will say I've heard more about women thinking that it's so harmful for them because they're like, look at how those girls are. And they're acting fake orgasms. Like we're learning bad things of like what porn looks like, what sex looks like through porn. What would you say to that if someone were to say that? Because I've heard that from listeners before.
Well, I think it's like any kind of entertainment. Do you think that you should be driving like Fast and the Furious down the road? Or do you think that that's strictly for Vin Diesel? You have to be able to separate the two. So like, of course, it's entertainment. It's supposed to be outrageous. Men like the loud moans because it triggers something in their monkey brain that is like, I'm not hurting her, she's enjoying this. Do you know what I mean? It has to be crystal clear because they're traditionally, they're bigger than us, they're stronger than us. They want to know that they're not inflicting pain, and they get aroused from knowing that we are also being enjoying ourselves. And then to bring it back to like an evolutionary psychology theory, I guess, they would say that in the middle of the night when one set of like bonobos or chimps would start having sex, that the female would start being very vocal and loud, and that was to signal that it was safe to do so. And then what would happen is other mates within that like family would also start having sex. So then essentially like this primate orgy started to happen because you were signaling it's safe to do it. So there's like all of these theories as to why we're so loud, but it's not to be like this is how women should be. Again, it's entertainment. And I think the difference is if you have a partner that's demanding certain things that maybe are crossing your boundaries or out of your comfort zone, then you can express that. And then there is something as being sexually incompatible. And that's also something that we don't want to consider is maybe like we just aren't a good fit here. So how long do you want to be with someone? A year, 10 years, till death do us part? Well, you both have to get creative in bed. Otherwise, that romance is not going to last. So it's going to involve him doing things for you, you doing things for him, and then meeting in the middle sometimes too. We know men's sex drive is usually significantly higher than women's. I could go weeks without having sex and I would be fine. My husband, not a chance. So if I were like, you can't watch porn or masturbate, well, then me as a wife, I better increase mine a little bit. Otherwise, what are we going to do with that gap?